body image problems.
It was summertime. Everyone was going to the beach because it was too hot in the city. Ellen and Catherine wanted to go to the beach, but their friend Macy did not want to go to the beach. It wasn't that she didn't like the breeze or the sand. In fact, she loved the beach. She just did not like that she would have to wear a bathing suit. She felt uncomfortable showing a lot of skin because she was a little bit overweight. Ellen and Catherine reassured her that she looked fine. "Why don't you just wear a one-piece swimsuit?" Ellen said. "Because it still sticks to my skin and makes my tummy bulge," Macy said. Ellen and Catherine felt bad that Macy felt insecure about her body. They told Macy that a lot of people at the beach were not in the best shape, and nobody would even pay attention to her. Ellen and Catherine made a list of fun things to do at the beach and gave it to Macy to try to convince her to go. "You don't even have to wear a bathing suit if you don't want to. You can just walk around the beach," Catherine said. Macy decided that her friends were right and drove herself and her friends to the beach.
Fighting friends.
Roland and Miles have been best friends since 9th grade. They bonded over their common interest in video games. They would go to each other's house and play video games after they finished their homework. They did everything together, from eating breakfast to sleeping over at each other's place. Right now, however, they were not speaking to each other. Miles did not pick Roland to be on his basketball team, and Roland was upset. It has been 2 weeks already. Miles has been trying to make it up to him almost every day. He made him breakfast in the morning, offered to drive him to school, and offered to carry his textbooks. Roland just kept pushing him away. Miles didn't know what he could do. Miles directly asked him one day, and Roland said, "Nothing you do can make up for what you did." Miles was sad, and he gave up. Now, Roland and Miles are about to graduate from high school. It has been a year since they talked. On the last day of school, Roland goes up to Miles. "Hey, I really miss you, to be honest. Want to play video games after the graduation ceremony?" Roland asks. Miles smiles and says yes. Sometimes you can't fix your mistakes right away. Friendship takes time to fix.
A scary story for the night.
Steve was a counselor at Camp Lafton. His job was to take care of kids at night, teach them how to swim, and make sure they weren't getting into trouble. At night, the kids kept talking. They were supposed to be quiet an hour ago. Steve had a hard time stopping them from talking. He was getting tired of telling them to be quiet. Steve had an idea. "Hey, do you guys want to hear a scary story about this cabin?" he asked. They got excited and started jumping up and down. "Okay, I will tell it. You have to be quiet so you can hear me, though," Steve said. The kids nodded. The story was an old camp legend. It was about the twins who lived in the same cabin as they did. One of the twins mysteriously fainted, while the other one fell through the hole of the floor and was never to be seen again. The twin who fainted was in a coma. When Steve finished the story, the kids were scared. They couldn't sleep, and some of the kids even cried. The kids were definitely quiet, though. He didn't think they would get that scared.
A phone app.
Ralph is a waiter at a taco restaurant. He likes his job because the customers are really friendly. His co-workers are funny. The pay is pretty good. He does not want to work at the taco restaurant for the rest of his life, though. He wants to use his money to start his own company. He wants to create a phone app that allows people to talk to friends internationally. Ralph has all the plans for his app, but he just needs the money. If the app goes big, he could make millions. The people who came up with apps like Snapchat and GroupMe are extremely successful. Apps are a modern invention. It's pretty amazing what one good idea can do. Ralph noticed a customer come in and serves him. Ralph compliments the man's watch. "Thank you. The truth is, I hate wearing it, but I need it because I have such a hectic schedule," he says. Ralph asks what he does for a living. The man explains that he buys apps from young entrepreneurs. Ralph jumps up and down with excitement. He tells the man about his app. He likes Ralph's idea and sets up a business conference meeting with him.
A Sweepstakes Winner.
Janet entered a sweepstakes where she could win a free trip to Hawaii. She read about it from the back of a cereal box. She always wanted to go to Hawaii, so she was excited when she saw the ad. She realized that a lot of people were going to enter the sweepstakes, but something in her felt confident she would win. She was so confident that she started looking up places to go in Hawaii. The winner of the sweepstakes was going to be announced on the Hario cereal website. Janet went on the website and saw her name on the home page. She won! Janet was so excited that she played a Hawaiian song and danced to it. She read the details on the website and found out that she could invite one person to the trip. Janet didn't know who to invite. She wanted to invite someone she could spend hours with. She wanted to invite someone who would be willing to do adventurous activities. She wanted to invite someone who would appreciate Hawaii. Janet thought about it and decided to take her mom.
Shopping addiction.
Janet has a shopping addiction. She loves buying clothes, school supplies, and electronics. If she is not shopping in stores, she is shopping online. She considers shopping as her hobby. Janet often shops when she is sad because she feels like shopping gives her power. Because she shops so much, her house was getting cluttered. Her mom and dad restricted her access to money by closing her debit and credit card accounts. They also stopped giving her an allowance. This did not stop Janet from shopping. In fact, things got even worse. Janet started shoplifting. She was really good at it too. For clothes, she would just go into the fitting room and put them in her bag. Fitting rooms did not have surveillance cameras, so that was why she could do that. School supplies were even easier to steal. Janet just looked around her and put the pens in her pocket. Electronics were difficult to steal, so she never tried. Janet saw a necklace she liked. As usual, she went to the fitting room and placed it in her bag. When she exited the store, the alarm went off. Janet was shocked, as that had never happened to her. An employee checked her bag and pulled out the necklace from her bag. It turned out that there was a security tag.
Pretty and dumb.
Arya was always the pretty girl at school. She had voluminous blonde hair and curly hair. She was tall and thin. Because she was pretty, her classmates assumed she was dumb. Arya was not the smartest girl, but she wasn't the dumbest either. She wanted to prove people wrong by enrolling in advanced placement English literature. On the first day of class, people were shocked to see her there. The teacher even said that she was in the wrong class. Arya had to show the teacher her class schedule. The teacher assigned the students a passage to read and analyze. The teacher put them in groups of 4. Arya's group just ignored Arya and analyzed the passage. Arya tried to talk, but they kept ignoring her and cutting her off. Being sick of the poor treatment, Arya finally yelled, "I'm trying to talk here." "Nobody wants to listen to you. What you have to say is probably dumb anyways," one of her group members said. At the end of the class, Arya told the teacher she was dropping. Ms. Sanchez said, "Don't drop, because then you're proving them right. Show them you're capable of using your brain. Share your thoughts out loud in class, and work on getting A's on your essays." Ms. Sanchez was right. She would never get rid of her dumb reputation if she dropped the class.
Singing competition.
Teresa just arrived in Los Angeles to audition for The Next Superstar. This was her last chance to make it big. One of the judges asked where she was from and what her life had been like. Teresa said she was from Maine. She then said that she had been singing since she was 5 years old and had been struggling to pay the bills. Teresa then sang an original song. The judges were impressed that she wrote a song. They liked how high her voice could go, and they allowed her into the next round. Since Teresa made it to the next round, she got to stay at a hotel for free and eat delicious food. Teresa met other singers, and they were all really good. They picked 100 out of 100,000 contestants. She was competing with the best. Teresa sang a Mariah Carey song for the second round. The judges said she was good, but it wasn't great. They recommended that she sing an opera song since her voice could go really high. Teresa sang an Italian opera song, and the crowd went wild. Since then, Teresa decided to change her singing style. Singing opera made her stand out.
Eye problems.
Stella was practically blind without her glasses. Her family was not blessed when it came to vision. Everyone in her family wore glasses, contact lenses, or had their vision corrected. Stella had to wear thick glasses because her prescription was 20/100. This means that she sees at 20 feet what a normal person sees at 100. Stella felt like people who had 20/20 vision didn't understand how lucky they were. A common problem Stella had was not knowing where her glasses were. There was a time when she knocked her glasses off the desk and spent an hour looking for them. Another problem was that glasses just made her look more nerdy. Stella slept over at her friend's house and had to drive home the next morning. When she opened her car door, she realized that she wasn't wearing her glasses. It must have slipped her mind. Stella knocked on her friend's door. There was no one inside. Her friend had just left. Stella couldn't drive back home. She would definitely get in a car accident. Stella waited outside her friend's doorstep. Eventually, she fell asleep. When her friend came back, Stella was too tired to drive, so she just stayed at her friend's house again.
A stay-at-home dad.
Justin was a stay-at-home dad. That means he takes care of the kids and deals with housework. His wife is the one who goes out and works. A couple years ago, Justin worked as a teacher. He loved his job. Then, his wife Terry got pregnant. At first, the couple both wanted to work and get a babysitter. Eventually, Justin thought it would be best if he stayed at home and took care of their kid. He wasn't getting that much money as a teacher. Also, he wanted to have control over how his kid was going to be raised. Justin liked being a stay-at-home dad. He loved seeing his kid learn things from him. He wanted to make sure his kid grew up right. Justin made sure to read to his son, take him to open areas, and give him healthy food. The biggest problem with being a stay-at-home dad was the comments he got from his guy friends. They made fun of him for doing housework. At first, the comments bothered him, but they're not a big deal anymore. Justin does miss teaching, though. He is waiting for the day he can teach at school again. He is planning to go back to the job after his kid turns 13 or so. He thinks that is a good time for his son to do his own thing.
A jealous girlfriend.
Owen and Donna had been dating for about 3 months. Everything was going well until Donna saw Owen hugging her best friend, Leanne. Owen and Leanne barely knew each other, so why were they hugging? After school, Owen and Donna met at their usual place. Owen tried to kiss her, but Donna turned away. "What's wrong?" he asked. She told him that she saw him hugging Leanne. She was crying. She got a really bad grade on her biology test, so I was just trying to be nice, Owen said. "Yeah, but you didn't have to hug her," Donna said. Owen couldn't believe that Donna was that jealous. "It's really not a big deal," Owen said. "It's a big deal to me. Other people were even telling me that it looked like you guys were a couple," Donna said. Owen rolled his eyes. "So, what would you have done if you were me?" Owen asked. "I would have just talked to her and give her a pat on the back," Donna said. "Okay, now I know what to do next time. Can we just make up?" Owen asked. Donna nodded her head. She was tired of arguing. The two of them went to get lunch and do homework together.
Name change.
Diego did not like his name. It was a Spanish name, but Diego didn't even speak Spanish. People always assumed he did, though. In fact, Diego wasn't even Hispanic. Diego also didn't like it because it didn't sound cool. Diego wanted to change his name to something like Brandon or Brock. Diego told his parents that he wanted to change his name. His parents were furious. "This is the name we gave you. By changing it, you're going against our wishes," his mom said. His dad said, "Why don't you just tell people to call you something else? Don't legally change it, though." Diego felt that if he did that, people would just ignore him and continue calling him Diego. Diego tried what his parents suggested. At school, he told his friends and teachers to call him Brock. His friends laughed at him and asked him why. His teachers were okay with it, but they kept calling him Diego accidentally. Since Diego was already 13, it was hard for people who had known him for a long time to call him by any other name.
too old for trick-or-treating.
Kelly's favorite holiday is Halloween. She loved pumpkin pie, pumpkin spice latte, dressing up, scary movies, and trick-or-treating. The sad thing, however, is that Kelly knows that she is too old for trick-or-treating. She is now 21 years old. She loved how she could get different kinds of candy for free. This Halloween, Kelly was going to babysit her 10-year-old cousin, Albert, and his friends. Kelly dressed up as a pirate. Her cousin and his friends dressed up as ghosts. Albert and his friends made Halloween-themed cupcakes. The frosting was orange and the sprinkles on top were black. Afterwards, they carved pumpkins. Albert asked, "What should we do now, Kelly?" "Why don't you go trick-or-treating?" she suggested. "I'm too scared to talk to strangers," Albert said. "Don't worry, I will go with you," Kelly said. All of them went to the house to the right. They knocked on the door and said, "Trick-or-treat." The couple smiled and gave the kids a chocolate bar. Kelly wished they gave her one. They went to the next house and the family gave them gummy worms. The next house they went to was interesting. The couple gave them money. Kelly definitely wanted some. They went to a total of 10 houses and got more than 10 different types of candy. They all went back to Kelly's house. Kelly was sad looking at all their candy. Then, Albert and his friends gave Kelly a hug and said they loved hanging out with her.
A group of friends.
Kathy, Denise, Lauren, Andre, Harrison, and David are best friends. They all live in San Francisco. They live in different places and have different jobs, but at the end of their workday, they would meet up in the same cafe. They also had different personalities, but somehow they would make it work. Kathy is a struggling writer. She is working on a fantasy novel and trying to get it published. Denise is a medical student at the University of California, San Francisco. Lauren is a TV screenwriter. Andre is also a medical student at the University of California, San Francisco. Harrison is an investment banker. David is a graphic designer. How did they all meet? Kathy and Denise were friends in college, and they moved to San Francisco together. They bumped into Lauren at a wine tasting event. The three of them became friends. Denise and Andre met at medical school, and Denise invited Andre to hang out with Kathy and Lauren at the museum. Lauren's cousin is Harrison. Harrison wanted a website for a company he worked at and hired David to design it. Lauren invited Harrison and David to come to the museum, too. When the six of them met up, they instantly became friends. Sometimes their different personalities caused fights. Kathy was shy and traditional. Denise was outspoken. Lauren was kind but also naive. Andre was funny. Harrison was smart but also greedy. David was bossy but also caring. Even though they were different, though, they all cared about each other.
Being too superstitious.
Mildred was very superstitious. She believed that black cats and walking under ladders were unlucky. Her friends and family would make fun of her for her being so superstitious. Her brother tried to explain to her that superstitions are not real. She never believed him, though. There have even been times when she went out of her way because of superstitions. One time, Mildred was very scared to take a math test. There is a superstition that says that carrying a rabbit's foot brings good luck. Although Mildred could not get a real rabbit's foot, she bought a keychain of a rabbit's foot. Another time, Mildred's friends invited her to get pizza at a new restaurant. Mildred was about to go inside the restaurant when she saw the restaurant's phone number included 666. 666 is considered to be unlucky, so she left. Another time it was raining pretty hard. When Mildred went into the mall, she noticed that a woman still had her umbrella opened. An open umbrella indoors is supposed to be bad luck. She ran up to the woman and asked if she could close her umbrella. The woman looked at her with a disturbed face. "Don't tell me what to do," she said. The woman continued to walk around the mall with her umbrella open, just to annoy Mildred, who wanted to leave the mall immediately to avoid any bad luck. Her mom convinced her to stay. "Mildred, nothing bad is going to happen," she said. Mildred stayed in the mall for 4 hours. Her mom was right. Nothing bad happened.
Moving into a new apartment.
Brenda was moving into her apartment today. She needed to bring in a lot of things since the apartment was empty. There was no way she could fly with such large items. She needed to go shopping for a couch and a desk. Brenda decided this would be a perfect opportunity to road trip with her family. They could help her move into her new apartment. Her new apartment was located 3 hours from her current house. Brenda was excited about moving and starting her new year. She was moving to an apartment near her school. She would be living there with 3 new people she had never met. She was a little nervous to meet them. She was scared that she might not like them or they might not like her. She was excited also. She was excited for what the new year would bring. The new year could be filled with a lot of new memories and exciting events. Brenda made a list of things she needed to buy just in case she forgot anything. She separated her list by categories. She had a lot of stuff from home that she could bring to save money. She took her chair and her laptop from home. She also brought a lot of clothes and cooking supplies. Her parents agreed to help her shop for furniture once they got there. They were going to help her pick her bed frame and her mattress. She also needed to get a new couch for the living room. Although stressful, Brenda was ready to tackle it all.
Jogging around the neighborhood.
Every day Tiffany jogged 5 miles around her house. She loved running around her neighborhood. It made her feel refreshed for the rest of the day. She felt more healthy and productive after her runs. She did not always run the same route. She liked to change her route to make running more fun. Sometimes she ran to grocery stores, and sometimes she ran to her friend's house. It was a new journey each time. In order to run, she had to have the right gear. She always wore quality athletic clothes. She had to wear good running shoes that were durable. She kept her hair in a high ponytail so her hair would not interfere with her face. She kept a water bottle with her at all times to continue to stay hydrated. Sometimes she ran at the gym, but she preferred the fresh air. There was something about seeing the trees and cars passing by that made her happy. She always listened to music when she ran. The music kept her motivated and distracted her from the feeling of being tired. Today she decided to run to a movie theater. She was meeting a friend there later. She had her water, music, and a smile ready. She started running early so that she would be there on time.
A long-distance relationship.
Eddie and Cynthia both went to the same high school. They had liked each other since 9th grade. Eddie and Cynthia met in math class. Cynthia was really good at math. She always scored the highest out of everyone. Eddie was having trouble with math. He kept getting F's. If he didn't bring his grade up to a C, he would have to repeat the class. The teacher asked Cynthia to help Eddie out for extra credit, and she said yes. Every day after school for 2 hours, Cynthia would help him. Eddie fell in love with her. He ended up with a B in the class. Eddie took Cynthia out to dinner to thank her. At dinner, they both fell for each other. They started dating. Everything was good. They never had fights and even talked about getting married one day. When senior year came around, though, they had to apply to college, and they didn't want to stop each other from going places. But they both wanted to stay together. Cynthia got into Harvard and wanted to major in math. Eddie did not get into Harvard. He got accepted to a school near Harvard, but thought it would be better for him to stay closer to home. Cynthia ended up going to Harvard, and Eddie ended up going to Florida State University. They tried to have a long-distance relationship, but it was hard. They broke up after their first year of college. After they graduated, however, they both worked in Florida. They got back together.
Confidence is key.
Nicole was always insecure about herself. She didn't like how she looked. She thought she was too tall and skinny. People would always ask her how tall she is. She tried to gain weight, but she never could. Most people would love to be in Nicole's situation, though. Nicole didn't like how she was so shy. She wished she could easily talk to people and make new friends. Nicole didn't like her voice. She thought it was too low. Nicole's confidence was so low that her friends started to get annoyed with her. They kept telling her that she was fine, but Nicole would deny it. Nicole's mom encouraged her to join a sports team at school. Nicole did not want to because she didn't want to get rejected. After days of convincing, Nicole finally gave in to her mother's request. Nicole decided to try it out for the basketball team. She played when she was younger, but has not played in 5 years. It helped that Nicole was tall. When Nicole went to tryouts, she looked at all the people she was competing against. She started to compare herself to the other girls. They were all shorter than her, but they were more confident. Nicole tried to put them out of her mind. The coach asked the girls to shoot free throws, run short distance, then finally asked them to play a game. Nicole was doing well. She was surprised. She didn't realize that she still had basketball skills. Nicole made the team and felt more confident about herself. She knew she was good at something.
Money matters.
Joseph and his wife Christina currently live in San Francisco. Christina is pregnant. She is a makeup artist at the mall. She does not make much money, but the job makes her happy. Joseph is an investment banker. He makes a good amount of money, but does not like his job. He feels like he does the same thing every day and like he is not making a difference. He also does not like his coworkers. He feels like his coworkers only care about money. Back when Joseph was in school, he dreamed of being a college professor. He liked teaching because he loved the feeling when his students understood something. He also wanted to be around people who loved to learn. He believed that knowledge is power. Joseph wanted to quit his job at the bank. Christina did not want him to, though. "How are we going to afford to take care of the baby?" she asked. "Maybe we can give the baby to my brother and his wife for a couple of years," Joseph suggested. "That is ridiculous. If we do that, then the baby is pretty much theirs," she said. "Only for 2 years," Joseph said. "You need to think of the baby," Christina said. "Why don't you get a higher paying job then?" Joseph asked. "It's not easy, you know. I didn't finish high school," Christina said. This was a sensitive topic for Christina. Joseph knew that and stopped talking. Joseph stopped talking. He decided to stick with his job at the bank.